Good day, fellow hoteliers, and welcome to episode 259 of the Hotel Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Pete DeMayo, and with me today is the one, the only, Ed St.Onge of Flip.to. How are you doing today?
I'm good, sir. It's good to see you.
Good seeing you too.
Good to be back on camera with you. It's been a while.
I know, it's been a while. And actually, we haven't done many on-camera podcasts at all. So this is something special for our viewers today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I apologize because I do have a face for radio. So.
Well, we have a
They're
lot
very
of people.
interesting.
Yes.
Yes.
This guy is paying attention to you nonstop.
Yeah. He's excited. He's excited about what we're going to talk about today. I'm sorry, we're going to probably disappoint.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what? It's going to be a good show regardless. I'll tell you why. Because we're actually here on the floor in Charlotte, North Carolina at HITEC 2024. And it's going to be a big show. So one of the things that we wanted to do that we've been talking about on our LinkedIn Lives was that we are going to be recording live, putting these out there and talking to the movers and shakers and people who are really starting to shape the industry that we're working in as hoteliers. And that's why Ed is here. So Ed, before we kind of dive into the show itself, I think pretty much everybody knows who you are and what Flip.to is, but you mind kind of sharing a little bit with us?
Yeah, so Ed St.Onge, I'm the president of Flip.to. I've been building technology for the industry for over 23 years now. Started out on the revenue management side of the world. I built the first channel management platform, grew that to a large company, and sold it after 10 years to TravelClick. It's still in Amadeus's coffers today that they use. And after selling that, I wanted to continue innovating. So I wanted to focus on the marketing stack side of things. And so that's where Flip.to came to be. So we've been around now for 11 years. We focus on helping hotels and timeshare and destinations, vacation rentals, get into better conversations with travelers. And the entire point of that is so that you can grow your database and, really, have a audience of prospects versus what we normally have had, which is just past guests.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think a lot of people know of Flip.to with your original product, which was the Photo River and sharing images.
Yeah.
But that is just the tip of the iceberg. And what we're going to talk about in a little bit here is what's underneath the surface that people may not know about, but they really should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get into that, this is HITEC 2024. You're going to hear some noise in the background because we thought it was a great idea to record live at the booth, and we're learning that may not have been the best choice. But one thing about HITEC is you learn new things, and that's what we're doing right here.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, what about HITEC 2024 is exciting for you? What are you seeing out there?
Every year at HITEC, one of my favorite things to do is go see who the startups are. This also tends to be the show that a lot of current vendors release new platforms. And so I always look at HITEC as the chance to take a peek at what everyone's vision is for what's next. So I'm really excited to see that. There's a few startups on my radar that I think are really interesting. Afixify is one of them, which is a vendor customer matchmaking service.
Okay.
And it's all automated.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
If you're buying something like a PMS or something like that. So really interested in seeing what they have to offer, interested in understanding the AI platforms, like are they actually doing something yet with them? Because AI is still very challenging. And it's really challenging for our industry because AI is useful when you have large amounts of data that you need to better understand and action. Our industry actually doesn't have that much data.
Right.
So I'm really interested to see that side of things as well.
Yeah, and so this is Monday. We've only had a couple of the breakout sessions. I went to two of them already that were all AI based, and they echoed very much similar to the same thing, is that AI, even though it is something that's ever present now, and anytime somebody says something, it's AI based this, AI based that. I have an AI based trade show booth. Because that lady's on the computer.
I can see by their hands.
There's AI in that computer. Yeah, so you can tell her she's AIing it. Yeah, she's got 14 hands. But that was one of the big things to kind of take away from us. But like they said, is like it only works when you start asking it the right questions.
Right.
And one thing I thought that was a phenomenal saying, and this was in the first breakout session, is right now AI is in the stage of the eager intern.
Yeah.
They're always ready to help. But with any intern's work, you have to proof it and check it before it's ready for prime time.
See, I'd actually say AI is even earlier than that.
Yeah.
I would say it's more like an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Who has just mastered the basics of language and has some basic understanding of how the world works,
Yep.
but can be easily convinced on pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And is willing to answer the question even if they don't know the actual answer. So
Yep.
I still think it's younger, and this is something I try to explain. Our industry needs to think about AI as an employee, and the effort that it takes to correctly train an AI
Yep.
is pretty substantial. And we're still at the phase where the AI frameworks are still young children.
Yeah.
They're not adults yet. So we as an industry are looking for people who are coming out of college with a degree. They've been educated. AI needs the education
Yep.
for the specific vertical of,
Yep.
of travel, which is very different.
Yep.
So it is, it's exciting for vendors. I mean, a lot of vendors use AI and have been using AI for some time for menial tasks, to automate things, to like we use it to understand what's in an image and turn that into structured data, so then we know how to call up that image later. And AI is very handy at that because it was purpose built and taught just for that one task. But a lot of our industry, when they picture AI, they're picturing a fully automated, almost stand-in for a human as far as engaging with someone. And we're still pretty far away from that being something that you as a hotel should be comfortable with, having just unfettered engagement with your travelers.
Yeah, it's definitely very human-led at this point. We're not quite ready to let the reins out yet. Now, I did hear of a really cool vendor, and I don't recall their name. They didn't bring it up in the seminar that we were in, but housekeeping is using an AI-based image platform.
With the image where it tells you like what should go here, how should. Yes.
What is the name?
I forget it, but I remember I saw it a few months ago, and I had actually sent to my business partner that this is the first truly handy use of AI in our industry that I've seen. So what it does is uses the camera on your phone, and your housekeepers can point at different parts of the room, and it will actually tell them what's out of place, what products maybe need to be brought in or are low, and actually helps you stage every room consistently. It's brilliant.
When you're trying to keep to brand standards, and we always talk about one, surprising and delighting is important, but the most important thing you don't want to do is show up and disappoint.
Right.
And that is where you do it. It's like if I am an honors member, I expect 2 bottles of water.
Right.
And a lot of times, like, I won't come into the room thinking I better stop and grab a couple bottles of water. It's going to be there, and I get there and it's not. Now you have a problem. And that's one of the places I think it actually can solve
I did see that. That's actually a really and it's fast. It's pretty snappy. I've seen demos of it, and but I can't.
Well, it goes to what AI can do: repeatable tasks where it's matching against the data set. You say, okay, you should have 2 water bottles on the nightstand. Are they there? No. Image says no.
And it's easy to train. Right, because it's a set of variables.
Right.
That it has.
It's got some easy guardrails that it stays in. It's also not trying to write your book.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So yes, I think HITEC's gonna be pretty exciting this year. Like I said, it's just Monday. We're gonna be evolving in this, and tomorrow on the episode we're gonna be talking more about what we're learning. And so if you're not at the show, definitely stay tuned in. And if you are, take a walk around. Like Ed said, there's a ton of startups. There's a ton of new things that you may not know about, but it's probably gonna be really important that you do learn about.
And that would be one of my big takeaways, is not just the startups. We tend to flock towards the startups, but this is a show where existing companies tend to launch completely new innovations. And so I'd just like to remind everyone to take a look at even vendors you think because the best vendors in this industry every couple of years look completely different than they had previously. So it's always worth stopping by and learning about what is new. And listen, if there's nothing new, great. You got to say hi to some people that you're friends with.
Yeah. And it's in a good spot this year in Charlotte.
Yeah, it is.
It's only 98 degrees outside.
Yeah, I'm coming from Orlando.
That's true.
So,
it's cool
I'm saving a degree.
Yeah. Well, next year I saw that's going to be in Indy, so I'm excited about that one.
I'm really excited about that.
Indy's an awesome town.
Yes, it is.
I love it.
Yes, it is.
But yes, that's HITEC this year. What we want to do, though, a little bit is, Ed, better understand that deeper element of one Flip.to, but then also how can we start connecting with our guests better?
Yeah. So, our industry for a long time has been obsessed with the concept of personalization. And this is going to sound a little bit boring, but there are building blocks to actually do personalization, and those include being able to start conversations at the right time with travelers, and depending on what your goals are, those conversations are at completely different phases of engagement. Right. But then also having enough understanding of each person to be able to engage them from the angle of their desires, not just your needs. And our industry's marketing is very need based. It's very, hey, we need you 3 weeks from now.
I got
Here's
a hole
a
in my
special.
occupancy.
Right.
Fill it.
Right. And so what we have focused on are building journeys that kind of rethink the traditional paths that you took travelers down. One of the ones that we launched just prior to the pandemic is our discovery journey, which was a reimagining of the journey from the site to the booking engine. Well, why we did that is an excellent place to not only start conversations, but to have repetitive engagements with people. When you look at the actual shopping window, not the booking window, but the actual shopping window for travel, even hotels that have 2-day booking windows, they'll be shocked to find that the actual shopping window, when people start showing up on the site, start thinking about them, is months before that.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah. And so we looked at how people were engaging with websites and booking engines and said, hey, this needs to be multi-session. We need to try and start a conversation as early as possible, but have ways to start it if it doesn't start early. Right? How do we start it when the traveler is ready? And most importantly, how do we capture a larger percentage of who comes to your site? Because as we know, the average hotel website only converts 1 to 2% of web traffic to a booking.
So what happens to the 99 to 98?
Yeah, 98, 99% disappear, and you don't even know who they are, why they were there, why did they leave? And you'd be surprised. It's not because you didn't have the right rate, because honestly, that doesn't come into play until a little bit later into the process. So we built a journey that's goal was to work better to the way travelers actually shop, but also gets that conversation started where you'll learn when are they actually looking to travel. I know that sounds crazy, but that's an important piece. What kind of experiences are they interested in? This is another piece that we really thought was missing from websites from the booking journey, which is why come here and why stay for periods of time? What are the things to do? Why is now a good time, and why should you maybe consider spending more time? So it brings in elements of that to sell to the traveler.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you think about it, I know we talk to our clients about this all the time, is no matter how amazing your property is, you are a means to an end.
Right.
They want to go someplace and they don't want to get rained on when they sleep.
Right.
So that's where the hotel fits in. And obviously you have amazing amenities, you have all the things and bells and whistles that get people to stay at your property. But at the end of the day, it's the concerts, it's the water parks, it's the amazing memories and whatnot that's created.
Yeah, so every traveler has a primary goal, a primary purpose for why they're traveling. And so certain markets, that defines the seasons, right? We're based out of Orlando, so whenever school's out, it's super busy because one of the primary reasons to come to Orlando is to go to the theme parks, right, with your kids. But understanding that, there's more to it than just the primary reason, right? Myrtle Beach, the beach is the primary reason to go there, but there are lots of other reasons to stay. And why that matters in the conversation with the traveler is to get longer units of time sold. If you're just the beach, you're going to get 2 nights.
And then I'm done.
Because it's just the beach. But if you look at like Myrtle Beach, where you guys are based out of, the amount of entertainment that has been built, the food scene that's blown up there, right? All the different attractions, all of that is what adds nights to the stay. And so you have to have that conversation with the traveler. You can't just assume because they came to your website that they've already decided that they're coming to your destination and that they know what your destination has to offer. And the way I try to challenge people to that is, you live in your destination. How many times are you surprised when you learn about something that's really cool that you didn't know about? And you live there. So think about a traveler. I don't care if they come 3 times a year. They don't know everything your destination has to offer. That is a meaningful conversation to have. The other reason to have that conversation is you can pay attention to what is meaningful to each individual.
Yeah.
And you can learn from that. So that's a big thing this journey does, is as travelers are looking at these experiences, we're logging that to a profile so that when you do hit data capture, which happens actually before the booking engine, we do it what we call an introduction. Tell us who you are. Here's a person from our team. You'll have a great time. You're not just capturing name and email address at that touch. You're capturing the dates they want to travel, the types of experiences they're interested in, and their name and email address. You now have the makings of a very easy extended conversation with that person should they not book in that session, which we know the majority won't.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is like when you have the event component tied to it, you start understanding that these are adventure travelers. These are people with toddlers. And then you can really start getting crazy personalized with that communication to where, like you said, it's not need-based for the property, it's need-based for the guest.
Right. Well, what you can really do, and this is what we talk to our partners about, is you want to find the intersection of your needs and your prospects' desires.
Yeah.
Where you can find those intersections, that's where you will have huge success with very light lift in your marketing.
Right.
And so that's been a lot of our focus. So for those who know our advocacy platform, because we've had that now for 11 years, this was something we released just before the pandemic. We actually took it out of beta in March of 2020.
Yep.
It's been the part of our platform that has transformed most of our customers' entire marketing because of the scale. So,
well, also the platform is different than the way even we build websites a lot of times. Is you have arrival date, departure date, hand them off to the booking engine.
Right.
And I mean, even for me and a lot of our clients and everybody, there's a hurdle to get over. But when you take a step back and look at it not as a hotelier, but as an e-com manager, you start going, everybody should be using a discovery type solution because it's how people are actually planning their trip, not just what you've done. So therefore, what you've done must be what we should keep doing.
And you shouldn't be racing to the e-commerce engine. Just so everyone understands, a traveler who comes to your site, if they touch your booking path, they're going to do that multiple times before they book. Even if they book in that session, they will jump between your booking engine and your site multiple times. It's part of the natural progression of the research that they're doing.
Yep.
So little things, like one, make it easy to get to a date that's more than 30 days into the future.
Yeah.
Traditional calendar design is not great for someone who's more than a couple of months because it's just a bunch of unnecessary clicks.
Yep.
Right. So that's one thing. The other is, explaining what is the vibe. So we're in Orlando. Orlando doesn't look very different. At different periods of the year, but if you're in a seasonal destination that the seasons change, that vibe should be present in taking people through that. And then most importantly, make sure your website remembers that.
Well, that's the thing that it drives me nuts. Even for our own people that we're working with, is you need to be super hyper personalized. If they come to your site, worst case scenario, have your dates cooking.
Right.
I mean, that's
save
not
the
hard.
dates, guys.
Yeah, that's like we're talking about
table
12,
stakes.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
That should have been done.
Yeah.
And I know what you're doing now is 10 times above that.
but it's those things. It's also little things like don't pop your booking engine in a new tab.
Yeah.
Why you guys historically have had such success with mobile is because you actually paid attention to optimizing the mobile journey. One of the worst things you can do in a mobile journey is pop a new tab at the same time that you're making a hard domain change.
Yeah.
Right. But go look at almost every implementation of the major booking engines, and as soon as you click book now or whatever the call to action is, a new tab pops up and you switch to that booking engine's
creative
domain.
changes. I built all this trust in Ed's Palace of Fun Hotel.com.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden now it's on reservations some random domain.
Yep. The other thing I would say too to think about with that hard domain change is consent. So cookie consent is super important. A lot of people are forgetting to put that on their booking engine domain. And that's a problem.
It is.
Yeah. So we're getting a little bit off with that stuff, but that's what we kind of focus on as a company, is the spaces that have been neglected.
Yep.
And there's always been these hard lines of someone builds the website, someone built the booking engine, someone configured the CRM, right?
Yeah.
And all of these things have these gaps between them.
Yeah.
But your traveler is going through that
Yeah.
whole bit. And there's a lot of suboptimal user
Yeah.
experience between all of them.
Mhm.
And some of the reason for that is it's really technically hard to do.
Yeah.
Right. So, which also means if you were trying to do it yourself, it would be very expensive
Yeah.
to do, and you can't justify it. So that's where we focus on with things like discovery, and even with advocacy. It's building journeys that can be dropped into different parts of your marketing that make the user experience more glued together
Yeah.
to how a guest progresses from dreamer to planner to transaction to stay to after stay,
Mhm.
right? And how do you create a cycle
Yeah.
through that?
So the one thing I think I also want to kind of build on was even the best site, the best destination, someone's going to come there, check out your property, leave, and they're going to forget who they were with.
Yep.
And getting those people back to the site, I think, is so important. And that's one thing I know that you do really, really well.
Yeah.
With your triggered messaging.
Yeah, and again, the reason we got into even the email delivery of that is because doing that correctly is technically very difficult.
It is.
You can't just do hey, we captured your information and you didn't book, so at 30 minutes we're going to send this email and then we'll send this email. You need to pay attention to things like, well, did they come back 10 minutes later and completely change the dates they're interested in? If you're a portfolio, did they switch to one of your other hotels, right? How do you have the right conversation? So a lot of our journeys, we don't do CRM, we don't do any of those types of services, but to some we feel that way because we are doing some email communication, but we're generally only doing the email communication that is incredibly technically difficult to pull off. So then we can hand it off to your CRM, right? And following up is huge. So I've been in this industry for a long time. Prior to starting doing technology building, I worked for an OTA. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, back then, so this is late 90s, early 2000s, the majority of your online marketing budget was spent on new customer acquisition. You fast forward 25 years later, and now that's only a portion of your total digital spend. You're spending a lot of money retargeting, trying to get people back that you didn't do a good job of capturing the first time.
Right.
And so a lot of what we're focused on today is how do we start conversations with every type of person who comes to your website to get as many of them as possible to tell you who they are and want to speak to you. So that way you can start spending a little bit more on new customer acquisition and a little bit less on retargeting, right? Because retargeting, if you really think about what that is, I'm spending a ton of money to pull you in, and then I'm spending money multiple times after to just keep you coming back, because every time you come, I don't make an attempt to say hi. Right? Like, would we do that if someone called the call center? Would you just like, oh, hey, nice talking to you, not ask you your name, none of that. Just, hey, when do you want to come? This is what we cost. Right? Like that, but that's what our websites do. So a lot of what we're focused on now is building those conversations, having them change over time with the traveler based on the behavior of what they do. So that's another nuance of when you can remember someone, you can also remember the things they were interested in. You can update their plans on the fly. And all of this has a pretty big effect. So, like the discovery journey that we built, we get over 30% of everyone who touches the booking path to give their name and email address. So even for a relatively small hotel, like we have a 50-room hotel in an urban market, they capture like 700 people a month through their website. They get 110 bookings a month. So you're getting 7x the lead capture that you were getting before. And guess what? All the people who didn't book, those are prospects.
And you know more about them now too.
Right. You know what dates in the future they're interested in. So when you have your weekly meeting where you talk about a group didn't pick up its block and now we have to figure out how to get people here, you actually have a database of people that you can look and say, who was interested in this time that hasn't booked? And that changes. That has a ripple effect for our customers.
Well, I think like you just said about the personalization and a call center saying, oh, hello, and not recognizing you. Just as someone came to your house, you said, oh, hi, Ed, good to see you. If you came back, I wouldn't ask you those same questions over and over and over again.
Change.
You've adapted. You know where the front door is. You come in and say, hey, I know, you may like a bourbon. Let's go ahead and not ask you, okay, would you like this, this, this,
Right.
this? I can have that ice cold
Right.
thing ready to go.
Yeah, learn, adapt, change the conversation, because that's how people want to be engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's human.
Yeah.
People want a hotelier to be hospitable.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what it is, and we don't do very well.
No,
So you're fixing it.
It's always been a challenge. So, but that's why we're doing what we do, and that's why we're also incredibly different, right? Like we're not trying to do the things that others have mastered, right? Because there's plenty of CRMs, CDPs, there's plenty of content management systems. We have all of those elements in our architecture. We don't see the value in building another flavor of those things. Instead, what we use that stack for is to build the journeys that just aren't getting done correctly.
Right.
And it's not that they're not getting done correctly because the agency didn't want to do it correctly. It's budget, know-how, well, not of the agency, but of the customer, right? Like a lot of customers don't understand that copying Expedia or copying Marriott is not what you should be doing as an independent hotel, because Expedia and Marriott play a very different game with the traveler. They don't actually care where the traveler goes.
They just need you to go somewhere.
They just need you to stay with them.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas you as an independent hotel, you have to win every step of the decision process. I need to win that you want to come to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
I then need to win that you want to stay in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then I need to win that you're going to stay with me.
Right.
Right? Marriott doesn't play that game.
No.
Expedia doesn't play that game.
No.
So we shouldn't be copying their marketing because they play a different game with the consumer than we do.
Yeah. And what we have is the ability to actually have one tangible product to create that relationship with.
Right.
Because Expedia, it is a means to an end.
Right.
I want a place to stay somewhere. This makes it very easy to do, which they do.
Yeah,
they do a phenomenal job.
They really
of that.
do.
But that's just what it is. You can build that relationship to where you have people come back over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is
well, and that's why you don't necessarily and I'll stop saying Marriott so it doesn't feel like I'm picking on them, but even large brands or Expedia or Booking.com, do you actually know anyone who's actually loyal to them because of the fundamentals of hospitality? No, it's situational loyalty.
Yeah.
I'm loyal to this brand because they have hotels in the markets I need to go to.
Yeah.
Right. But as soon as I go to a market that doesn't have you, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not going to this destination because they don't have
Expedia dropped such and such. So,
Right. And so, this is the opportunity an independent hotel or, vacation rental, has is you own the relationship with the traveler. You're the one giving the service. You should think about that as the conversation, not just boil yourself down to price and availability.
Right. Because they're going to crush you on price and availability every time. Like right now, we see where the OTAs are saying, well, I'm going to cut my commission because the parity is too much there, and the independent hotelier is taking my business away. All right, no problem. Instead of 18%, I'm going to take 16%, and good luck.
Yeah, and they can play that game
way longer than we
for
could.
a long time.
Yeah,
exactly. So that means your marketing needs to be personal. It needs to tell the story of why your hotel exists. I find that missing often in marketing. And I also sometimes just ask that of hotel teams, like, why is this hotel here?
Yeah.
And it's not right off the cuff. They can't answer it off the cuff.
Yeah.
But if you think about any other business, their mission, their why is core to everything. But in our industry, we don't have that conversation at the hotel level.
No, it's they need a place to stay in Orlando.
Right.
And it was like, well, yeah, but there's other choices out there.
There's hundreds of them in Orlando. And so why you? And why are you where you are, right? We are an industry based in real estate, and yet we forget to tell the story of location.
Yeah.
Why do you have your location? And listen, location isn't always I'm in the best location. It may be I'm best location adjacent, but because of that, I'm more affordable. Or honestly, I may be less crowded.
Yeah.
Right? Like not everyone wants to stay in the thick of it. They want to stay on the fringe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have some people who want this, and everyone's going to be a little bit different. Yeah. And there's room for a lot of those properties if they're selling what that unique selling point actually is.
Right. And I think that fear of potentially having someone say you're not for me has caused us to go overly generic in our marketing. But if you actually look at the most interesting brands in our industry right now, like Margaritaville, one of my favorite brands in the industry, they know who they are, they know what they are to their consumer, and they're proud of it.
Yeah.
And they're okay that they're not for everyone,
Right.
because there's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and there's other brands like that, and you know, so don't be afraid to be clear on who you are and what you have to offer. You know, we work with a lot of hotels that are very proud of, you know, their involvement with the LGBTQ community. And I know a lot of hotels who would cringe at the thought of doing that because they feel like they'll lose someone else.
Right.
But you know what? If that's in the fabric of your location and that's in the fabric of your culture, you shouldn't be afraid to do that.
Well, I mean, going back to your advocacy and the ability to gather guest photos and whatnot. You don't see people smiling and taking a picture in front of a Holiday Inn, standard Holiday Inn.
No.
Because it is.
But you know what they do? The people who stay at the Holiday Inn, they smile and take a picture of the thing they were doing.
Exactly.
While they were staying at the Holiday Inn.
So that's kind of what my point is. Like, you know, what is it that they're taking pictures of? Are they at your property and you have an amazing beach shot? You know, but it's getting that connection, and then you injecting yourself to elevate that experience for the guest.
Right. And understanding your why. Why do people stay with you? That's another question I ask hotels all the time, which is why people stay with you.
Yeah.
And I will say our industry is very good at answering that question.
Yeah.
I do get an immediate answer very quickly with that. And there's multiple reasons why you would stay
I love
the
the why is your hotel here.
Yeah, but
I need to steal that. And,
it's you know, as someone who has started multiple companies, your mission is so incredibly important.
Yeah.
You know, and if your team doesn't know your mission, how can they execute on it? But at the hotel level, often the mission is missing. We're a hotel and we're going to provide service, right? Like, I'm not saying they're aimless, but they don't understand, like, why is this hotel here?
Yeah.
And what is its vision for this hotel versus the hotel across the street or a very similar hotel 6 blocks away?
Because otherwise it's all price at that point.
That's it.
If you haven't
that's the game the OTAs want you to play. That's the game the big brands want you to play.
Yeah.
But that's not the game you should be playing. Yeah.
So
even if your budget, you still shouldn't play the price game.
Yeah.
That's just part of your value proposition.
Yeah. A great movie once said the only way to win is to not play that game, right?
Exactly. Racing to the bottom. Being a commodity is not something you want.
No, because you can get swapped out at a moment's notice.
Yep.
So, well, this is awesome. So before we kind of wrap everything up, I had 2 questions for you. First of all, before we kind of wrap up there, if they want to learn more about Flip.to, learn more about you, where can they do that at?
Sure. So Flip.to, no .com or anything.
Yep.
And that's where you'll find out about Flip.to. You can find me on LinkedIn, Ed St.Onge. You can also follow Flip.to on there. You know, we put out a lot of educational content. We also have a educational blog that doesn't talk about Flip.to, instead talks about just general industry, which is shape.travel.
Okay.
So there's also a lot of really interesting content there that's a little less, you know, hey, content marketing strategy, and just more, we care about educating.
Yep.
Right. So those are places you can check us out. We're here at HITEC and at the HSMAI Commercial Strategy Week. So if you're seeing this on LinkedIn and you want to come by and say, hi, I'm here, Jessica and Hal from my team are also here. So, you know, happy to say hi to you here too.
Yep. And we'll have links to shape.travel, your socials, Flip.to, and everything else on LinkedIn, as well as on the website and everything else.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, HITEC is a transformative show. There's a lot of stuff changing, a lot of stuff needs to get left behind, a lot of stuff needs to be improved in our industry. So this is kind of be a little standout segment that we might cut out and just put on LinkedIn for a little, 2-minute segment. Ed from Flip.to, you're in an elevator with a guy, and he says, HITEC was transformative, Ed. Did you know that? And you say, yes, it was. What can I stop doing immediately to transform, and what do I need to start doing moving forward?
Yeah. So the stop doing or kind of put away is your old way of budgeting your marketing.
Yep.
Right. We often think marketing as campaigns and seasons versus always on. Right. So put away the old, think about always on. The start taking your data seriously. And it's not just your data, it's your guest data. And that's on a couple of fronts. 1, do a better job at capturing it. 2, do a better job at protecting it. And then 3, do a better job of, using it in your marketing. because
Using it's important.
it can really change everything about your business.
Yep, I love it. And that was a quick elevator ride.
There you go.
So,
that was it. We were on the second floor. So,
I know, it wasn't far. It's more of an escalator ride on the way down. So, but perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 259 of the Hotel Marketing Podcast. Again, Pete DeMeo. We have Ed with us as well. And I thought that was fantastic. I'm looking forward to the rest of HITEC and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, and thank you so much for making the time for me to be on today. We love our partnership with you all, and have worked with you guys for years, and love what you do.
Well, I've learned so much from our partnership and working with you that I think it's made us a better agency.
And you guys do really interesting things with the opportunities we create. And I value that. Right? It's not just, hey, we're partners and we have common customers. You guys actually push the envelope on creativity of what to do with the opportunities we create, and that makes me happy because that's why we're doing it. Is to do new things.
Someone's playing with your toys.
Exactly. Exactly. So I really appreciate you having me on, and love being a part of this.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll be coming back to you tomorrow morning with a LinkedIn Live, giving you an update on the show, as well as tomorrow we'll be having another interview with Think Reservations about working with independent properties and how you can better market to your guests and maximize your revenue. With that being said, Hotel Marketing Podcast, we are out. And stop.
Awesome.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's fun.